Wait. Oh yeah, it's a new year, isn't it? Well, you know what that means. Obligatory countdown!
1 month later.
Holy cow, that took way too long. Anyway, let's get going, shall we? 2015 was a fantastic year for games, especially for my personal collection. So, what better way to celebrate than with a countdown? So today, I'll be counting down my 10 favorite games I played last year. However, the wording is key, as the games don't have to have come out in 2015, I just have to have played them for the first time last year. With that out of the way, let's get going! Grand Theft Auto V, the newest installment in the series of the same name, is an open-world sandbox game that lets you do just about anything you want. It has two modes, the first of which is a story mode, which focuses around three protagonists, Franklin, Michael, and Trevor, all of whom come from different backgrounds and have different personalities, yet end up working together, though with a little bit of difficulty.
I knew it would become about you!
I miss my family!
Oh, you're full of shit! All you ever did was ignore them, and now that they're gone, you miss them! Fucking incredible!
I'll tell you what's incredible! Fucking incredible! Mother...
Hey! What?
Enough! You got me out here. You wrote me into your crazy world of bullshit. If it was lies, new age shit, and arguments about how good life used to be, I could have stayed my ass in Los Santos.
The story is somewhat good so far, but overall I found the characters to be less likable compared to GTA 4, and the plot isn't quite as engaging as the focus is split between the three characters. The second mode is GTA Online, which allows you to create your own character to explore Los Santos with, where you can do just as much as you can in the single player, but with friends! The game itself plays just like the previous entries in the series. You're given a huge open world to explore with missions to do and numerous other side activities like tennis and golf. Along with that, you can choose to just free roam wherever you want, stealing cars, planes, boats, and just screwing around. In fact, one of my favorite things to do is just drive around in my car while self-radio plays, just to see what kind of crazy situations would come up. In fact, here are some of my favorites. Trevor having a run-in with the cops to the Squid Girl opening. Franklin doing races to Can You Feel the Sunshine? Michael doing motorcycle stunts to With moments like that, I can't help but laugh. Sometimes a game gets a ton of attention during its development, but after it's released, it doesn't quite meet fans' expectations and practically dies. There's one game that fits into this category, and I have no idea why. Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs is, let's face it, a GTA wannabe. However, due to the design choices it made, it's so much more enjoyable. The story focuses on Aiden Pierce, a hacker living in an alternate universe Chicago where everything is connected by a system called the CTOS. One day, while stealing from some rich bank accounts, he and his partner Damien are found out due to Damien digging too deep into the system. This causes an assassin to be sent after Aiden, which ends up getting his niece killed. In the years since this event, Aiden has become known as the Vigilante and attempts to track down the people who sent the assassin. While most people tend to ignore the somewhat simple plot, I enjoyed seeing Aiden's character development as the story progressed and he realized the consequences of his actions. it was actually quite interesting and made me want to keep going. In terms of gameplay, it mostly sticks to the formula that these games have, but mixes in its own unique mechanics, like the ability to hack technology, traffic lights, cameras, bridges, even other people's phones. Everything you can hack gives you some sort of advantage. Sometimes it's stopping cops, sometimes it's emptying bank accounts, occasionally you can cheat at poker. Oh, and then there's the best part of the game, the stealth! Whoa, stealth! Every year there seems to be that one indie game that just explodes with popularity. Normally, I let the hype die down just a bit before picking it up for myself. That was not the case with Undertale. Undertale is an RPG made by Toby Fox. It centers around the player falling down into the underground, where the humans sealed away the monsters hundreds of years ago, and you have to find your way back home. The uniqueness of the game shows up in the fact that unlike most RPGs, you can spare enemies instead of killing them. It gives the player the ability to play the game in numerous different ways, killing everything, never attacking, or a mix of killing and sparing. Then there's the battle mechanics themselves. It's best described as a cross between turn-based and bullet hell. Sounds crazy, right? Well, through this you're able to take as little damage as your skill level allows, meaning you could theoretically play the entire game without getting hit once. The game also features a cast of wonderfully written characters who you're going to fall in love with, and a soundtrack that will be stuck in your head long after you've beaten the game. However, that's not to say it doesn't have its downsides. The battle system overall can get a little repetitive, and after you finish the game there isn't really much to go back to. In fact, after you've gotten the good ending, one of the characters downright begs you to put the game away for good and leave everyone with their happy ending. Oh yeah, forgot to mention that, didn't I? The game is aware of your ability to save and reset the game, and will change the dialogue or events based on your past playthroughs. Kind of creepy if you ask me. After numerous years of wanting to get into the Tales of series, I finally did it, with the newest game in the series, Tales of Zestiria. Zestiria is an RPG that follows Saray, a human that was raised by seraphim, beings invisible to any human without a strong resonance to them. One day, while he and his best friend Mikleo are exploring some ruins, they find a girl named Alicia, who Saray helps prepare for her return journey to the city of Lady Lake. That is, until someone else shows up, looking to kill Alicia. So, Saray and Mikleo set out to save her. One thing leads to another, and Saray becomes the shepherd, someone who's destined to save the world, but has to bear the weight of all of the world's malevolence. You know, the usual! The game, from what I can tell, plays just like the previous Tales of games, with you fighting in a circular arena in which you are able to move around freely, though instead of bringing you to a separate screen to fight in, the game has you fight the enemies directly on the map you encountered them on. You fight by using two different attack buttons in combination with a directional input. It also introduces a new mechanic to the series called Armatization, which allows Saray to combine with one of his Seraphim companions, which gives new arts to use in battle. I just enjoyed so much of the game right off the bat. The characters are fun to listen to, the gameplay is so fast-paced that combat never gets dry, and the visuals and soundtrack are both fantastic. Oh yeah, one last thing. Edna is the best character in the game. If you question that, prepare to be dissed more than Meebo.
Hey you, Waterboy. You got a name?
Mikleo, not Waterboy.
Mikleo, not Waterboy? That's a new one.
Call me what you like, see if I care.
Okay, Meebo.
It's Mikleo, alright? Mikleo!
If you say so.
Well, I see who runs this household.
Yep.
Whoa, what? Since when was this a household?
Yeah! Can you guys not practice your comedy routines inside my head?
You know, after these last couple of entries, my throat's getting kind of dry. I'm gonna go quick grab a drink of water. I'll be right back.
What the? Door's locked. How is that even possible? That doesn't make any sense. A note?
Dear Shadow, you have yet to speak of a game that is more than worthy of praise. As such, you will not be allowed to leave this room until you find the clues which will accurately convey just how great this game is. You have 9 minutes to solve the room. or you will die. Good luck, Bowcatcher.
How about no? Can't we just talk about it?
B.S. You can also just talk about it.
Oh. Okay, well, it's time for 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors.
"999" is a visual novel puzzle game which follows Junpei, an average 21-year-old college student. He and 8 others get kidnapped by a mysterious person who goes by the name of Zero and are forced to play the Nonary game, which requires them to get through puzzle doors around the ship in order to escape within 9 hours. What happens if they don't? Death, of course! Now, as this is a visual novel, characters and stories are the most important elements, and both are absolutely fantastic. The characters start out seeming like easy stereotypes, and the story at first seems like a simple Saw-like plot. But I am being absolutely serious when I say it's much, much more than that. I would tell you why, but honestly I think you should experience it for yourself. It's a fantastic story that uses the DS's mechanics to its fullest, to the point that the conclusion wouldn't work with the same effect on any other console. I got nothing. Fighting games aren't usually my style. I have a tendency to button mash, and when I don't, I can never seem to get the combos down. But for some reason, I never have that problem with Dengeki Bunko Fighting Climax. Fighting Climax is a crossover fighting game featuring characters from anime and manga series under the Dengeki Bunko name. Series like Sword Art Online, Durarara, and Toradora are all represented, as well as many more. The game is a regular 2D fighting game, with the added mechanic of support characters, which all have 2 different moves, each of which are activated by a certain direction and pressing the X button. I said I don't have much trouble with this compared to other fighting games. That's because compared to some others, Fighting Climax has somewhat simple moves, and most of the characters, while having different moves entirely, activate most of their moves in about the same way, so you can easily switch between the characters to find the one that's best for you, without having to figure out all the different combos you have to do. The game also has a story mode, which is pretty basic. But then there's also what's called Dream Duel mode, which features fights between the various characters with dialogue between them. And this is where the concept of the game shines. The Dream Duels are very faithful to the characters' personalities, making them so much fun to go through when you know the characters. I just had so much fun with the game whenever I played and however I played. And the gameplay, coupled with an excellent soundtrack and stages based off various Sega series, it's definitely a game I'm going to be playing for a while. Oh, I also get to obliterate Kirito as some of my favorite characters. So there's that too. New IPs don't always do the greatest, but other times they absolutely blow expectations out of the water and into the ink. Splatoon is Nintendo's jump into the multiplayer shooter genre, and it is fantastic. The goal of the game is to use your weapons to spread your ink all over the arena, and the team that covers the most turf at the end of the round wins. You're equipped with a main weapon as well as a secondary and special weapon, and you can customize your inkling to gain stat boosts. In addition to that, there's also the ability to swim through the ink, which makes this a crazy and fun shooter. Then there's also the fact that the soundtrack is fantastic, the single player is fun to go through, and the fact that Nintendo has been continuously updating the game since it was released with new weapons, outfits, stages, events, and even entire modes. It's the game that keeps on giving. There were 2 games I knew I was going to enjoy in 2015, and Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate was one of them. 4 Ultimate takes what 3 Ultimate did and focuses on the more popular features. It's the same third-person action game with breathtaking areas full of great big monsters ready to kill you. You start your journey as a new hunter who is arriving at Valhabar by Sandship, which is then attacked by a Daren Moren. aka an Elder Dragon. After fending it off, a man who's only known as the Caravaner invites you to join his capital C caravan to discover the purpose of a mysterious artifact in the possession of the Caravaner. In this search, you travel to all sorts of different locations and meet new people. The core gameplay of 4 Ultimate is for the most part the same as previous installments. Damage the monsters with your weapons, use traps to immobilize them and deal extra damage, etc, etc. But 4 Ultimate adds a new feature to mount the monsters by dealing jumping damage to them. Then after filling the bar on screen, the monster will topple, allowing you to get free hits. There's also 2 new weapon types, neither of which I use very much, and the cast of monsters is pretty cool. You've got some great new monsters like the Narjarala and Gormagala, and a wide selection of returning monsters like the Zinogre, the Berkidios, and the Kezu. That's enough on it for today. Oh, would you look at that?
Now it's Shulk time.
Xenoblade Chronicles, an RPG released on the Wii back in 2012, was one of the hardest RPGs to find as it had a limited supply and was an exclusive to GameStop. However, to fix this, Nintendo ported it to the new Nintendo 3DS, and I love it to bits. The game follows Shulk, a researcher of the Monado, a powerful sword that's the only thing capable of defeating the Mechon, robotic monsters that attack the humans, or Hums as they're called in-game. One day, a year after the humans had driven off the Mechon at Sword Valley, the Mechon attacked Colony 9, Shulk's home, and are led by a mysterious phased Mechon. The phased Mechon kills someone very dear to Shulk, and as such, Shulk and his friend Ryan set out to find the Mechon and get revenge. The gameplay is somewhat typical for an RPG. You wander around the world taking on quests and completing the story objectives. Battles take place on the same map you explore. Your characters auto-attack for you. Your job is to position the character you're controlling to take advantage of arts, such as some that only give certain status ailments when behind the enemy. There's just so much to love about this game. A beautiful world to explore, characters that I love seeing interact with each other, tons and tons and tons of quests to find and do, and all of this is on the go. Sure, it downgrades the graphics a little, but it still looks great. And I mean, considering how hard it is to find the Wii version, and how much fun it is to have Ryan Time anywhere, I think it's completely worth the trade. Throughout 2014 and early 2015, I waited and waited for a game I knew was going to be high up on this list. And it finally arrived. It was met with more than rocky reception, seeing as the PC port was broken beyond belief. But despite that rough start, Batman Arkham Knight is one of the greatest games I've played. Batman Arkham Knight is the final game in Rocksteady's trilogy. It takes place a year after Arkham City and the death of the Joker. Gotham's crime rate has gone way down until Halloween, when the Scarecrow threatens to unleash his newest batch of fear toxin upon the city. This causes the evacuation of Gotham, leaving only the police, Batman, and practically all of the criminals within Gotham. Add to that some of the most powerful of Batman's enemies teaming up, and a man who calls himself the Arkham Knight who knows way too much about Batman, and it's gonna be one crazy night. Batman Arkham Knight is basically everything I hoped and more for the final game in the Arkham series. Its combat is just as rhythmic and flowing as the previous. The stealth is even more satisfying to pull off with numerous ways to mix it up. The Batmobile was just as fun as I hoped with its mix of speed and power, and the story that was way more than I was hoping for. Despite my 60 hours of playtime already, I'm still going to be playing Arkham Knight for a very long time, so it more than deserves its spot on this list. I'm ShadowXX25, and thank you all so much for watching. Here's hoping 2016 is just as good as last year.